Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the very first week of our Operation Feed the Nation challenge. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Welcome to the very first week of the Operation Feed the Nation challenge. And today we have today's training on the Operation Feed the Nations challenge, urban and backyard farming. We're going to be discussing about how to grow leafy vegetable at home, whether it's spinach, lettuce, or ugu. And our facilitator is Lady Gladys Etema. She is the founder of Etema Farms and Agro Consulting Limited. She would be our facilitator for today. And so, guys, in the next couple of minutes, you'll be learning so much from this session today. You'll be learning the basics about leafy green vegetable farming and how best, common leafy greens and how best to grow them step by step, whether you're trying to grow them in plastics, in nylon bag, in a very small space that you have within your house or your compound. You're learning that. You're learning what kinds of soil to use. So I'll just allow Lady Gladys take up the stage from here. Lady Gladys, thank you so much for being our facilitator for week one of the Operation Feed the Nation challenge. We're super excited to have you here as our facilitator for this training. Thank you so much. I think we'll proceed.
Sorry, there was a break at some point. I wasn't hearing you, but um, thank you so much for having me again. Um, I'm glad to be here. So my name is Gladys, and just like you mentioned already, um, I'm excited about today's podcast, and I hope that our listeners are also excited about the topic. So we're talking about urban farming today, and we'll be specifically looking at the leafy vegetables. Next slide, please. So for the brief introduction, it's something we already know, so I'm just going to read through it. Urban farming is becoming increasingly popular in Nigeria because more people have become conscious of their health and what they eat. They want to ensure they are eating foods that are not heavily chemicalized. Permit me to use that word, like the food or vegetables that do not have too much chemicals, and also food that are grown with proper hygiene and food that are affordable. Also, since after COVID, many people have come to appreciate having fresh food within their reach. They want to have easy access to food whenever they need it, and this has led a good number of urban dwellers to establish their own backyard farms. So, like we know, a lot of things are circulating on the internet. You know how people use heavy chemical on leafy greens, especially things like ugu, water leaf to kill the insect, and that thing they bring it to the market. We have been seeing a lot. So now we know that consuming things that are not heavy, that are not healthy, or filled with chemicals that have not reached at least stayed for some time to finish the number of days that the chemical is supposed to be on it, like they have pre-harvest intervals. So when food or vegetables are sprayed with chemicals, they are supposed to be allowed for a period of time, depending on the number of days that is supposed to be. Most chemicals have it is written there, the pre-harvest intervals. When the pre-harvest interval days are reached, then it's safe for the vegetables to be harvested. But if these days are not reached and they are harvested and it's consumed, it's going to cause a lot of problems. So yes, because of all these reasons, people are now having their own backyard gardening. And of course, during the COVID, we know how difficult it was for us to have fresh vegetables or even food at all. So yes, this is the reason why a lot of people are going into urban farming and vegetable farming. So today, we are going to be looking at some of the common crops that people grow in the backyard and the ones that you can do. They are very easy Some of it you're already growing it, and some of it you may want to learn more about it to also grow it. So yeah, let's do this together. Next slide, please. So some of the common vegetables are ugu, is a popular Nigerian leafy green with fluted, dark green leaves and slightly bitter to taste. It is rich in vitamin A and C, iron and antioxidants. Ugu helps to boost immune function, supports eye health, and may also reduce inflammation. And apart from this is one of the vegetables that is well consumed in Nigeria. We use it in our draw soup, our egusi soup, use it as your sauce, even vegetable um, soup as well. It's one of the nutritious and most used vegetables in Nigeria. And so if you are able to grow this in your compound, at least you save yourself the time and the resources of buying this. It's very easy to grow, like you can see from the picture here. You can either grow it in the soil, you can grow it in sacks, or you can grow it in the containers. Very easy to grow and very, very nutritious. Next slide, please. So we'll be looking at other vegetables. When we are done looking at all these vegetables, then we can now go into how they are cultivated. So this is just like introducing us to the common vegetables that are grown in Nigeria. So we also have ugu. I think other African countries as well, they grow ugu. They grow all these other leafy greens that we're going to be talking about today. So this would be a way for us to do it better. So we also have water leaf. Next slide, please. Okay. Sorry, water leaf, please. Okay. So water leaf, we also know this very from the picture here. It is succulent, it's mild tasting leafy green, commonly used in Nigerian soup and stews. Actually one of the components of vegetable soup for people that like vegetable soup like myself. So it's usually paired with ugu to have vegetable soup. I know some people also use this to cook yam and other delicacies. It is very rich in vitamins, vitamin A and C, and also has calcium and iron. Sometimes when people are having shortage of blood, or for women after period, you are advised to take leafy greens. The iron content helps to boost blood, to help the formation of blood. And so after seeing your period, we are advised to eat this so that you can regain back some of the blood that you have lost. So yes, it is really very nice. It supports bone health, it boosts immune function, and also may help to reduce blood pressure. So this is the reason why you also need to have this in your garden. So imagine having ugu in your garden, having water leaf in your garden, and then the other vegetables we'll be talking about. So we have also lettuce. So lettuce is crunchy. It's also a leafy green that is used in salad, sandwiches. It's used to garnish. It is low in calories. So if you are trying to manage your weight, this is a very good one. You can use it. You can eat it fresh, or you just stir fry. Like some people also like it in their stir fry. So after cutting your tomatoes, carrots, and every other thing, and then they've stir fried it, when they're about bringing it down, they just pour a little lettuce. For those people that cannot eat it raw like this, otherwise some people eat it raw. It is rich in vitamin A and K. It supports weight management, like I mentioned earlier, also bone health, and may help reduce risk of cancer. Because most of the lettuce, like the romaine lettuce, whenever you break it, you see some white fluid coming out of it. Those white fluid, they are the ones that really help when it comes to reducing cancer risk. So these are very beautiful, easy to grow vegetables that can be grown in your garden. Next slide, please. So the next one we are having the amaranth. Some people call it green leaf. Some people call it spinach. So depending on what you call it, but from the picture you understand the vegetables that we are talking about. This is another very common vegetable that is eaten in Nigeria and in Africa. Even outside of Africa, I have seen people grow this. Some friends in the UK, they also grow it there so that they're also eating. And I think apart from African, Asians too, they have a variety of amaranth that they consume. So, like the other vegetables, they are rich in vitamin A, C, it has calcium, rich in iron, and again, whatever vegetable is rich in iron is good, especially for if we are building blood. It helps to build blood. It also helps to boost immune system and also may reduce inflammation. These are very important vegetables. Do you know that if you are cooking and you have more of vegetables and just a little carbohydrate, it goes a long way. That means you even be eating healthy. These things they grow easily and they grow in large numbers. If you just put down the seeds or you do a little nursery before you know they are almost everywhere. So these are food that we can all have in our garden, no matter how small it is. And again, this can grow directly in the soil. It can also grow in bags and containers, as you will see. Next slide, and then we have Malabar spinach. I think this has become very popular now. Um, I chose this particular spinach because I see this a lot. I don't know about your area. I hope you're also seeing this kind of spinach. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. It's a bit slimy. So if you're going to use it, you have to think about that. But people use it for egusi soup, vegetable soup, okra soup, even in just maybe you dice your tomatoes, pepper, you stir fry, and then when it's about bringing it down, you can dice this and then just put and use it to either eat your rice or your swallow or yam or whatever food you want. This is another very nice vegetable. It grows easily, as you can see, it's heat tolerant. So even if you are staying in the hot climate like Guagualada, it will still do very well. It's one of the vegetables that if you plant it here and before you know it keeps growing, it spreads everywhere and it's very, very easy to cultivate. So these are some of the common leafy greens that we'll be talking about today. We have seen the health benefits that they are rich in nutrients. Most of them are rich in iron. Most of them help inflammation, and then they are also rich in antioxidants to support the immune system, and then also help to build blood. So these are very, very important in the household. Um, our next slide. So we are now going to go into the steps of growing these vegetables in your backyard. So first of all, you have to select a site. For you to grow any vegetables, you have to think of where am I growing it. So it is when you are done with selecting the site, like okay, where should I grow these vegetables? Do I have a ground space where I can plant it directly in the soil? Okay, maybe you are staying in the story building and you are staying on the upper floor and there is no soil there. You might want to grow it in sack. You might want to grow it in a container and flower vase. I went to an event recently, and one of the things that we discussed there was like, instead of just planting flowers to beautify your house, why not plant a leafy green? At least flowers are just there to beautify, but you can't eat them. But if you grow vegetables there, it will still beautify to bring that greenery to your environment, and then you still have something to. So yes, so you select a site either in your flower bed. You can replace some of your flowers with leafy greens. So when you look at your environment and you see, okay, I have maybe a small land space where I can do this, or I'd rather grow this in a sack. in maybe cement sack, use cement sack after you've washed it, or you want to use an old container, an old plastic, rubber, or bucket, or something that you're not using anymore. You want to perforate under and then use it to grow. So when you have known the site for your backyard garden, then you can now proceed to like, okay, what kind of seed or what kind of plant should I grow? So your seed is very, very vital to the results you are going to get. If you get seeds that are already infested, or if you get seeds that they are already malformed, you know that they may not germinate, or if they germinate, they are going to give the headache later on. So you want to select your seed from the best. Crops like ugu, you want to buy from somebody who gets their seeds from reliable sources. For example, if you want to buy your ugu seed or the pod, you can visit somebody who is growing it in your neighborhood. Look at the way the ugu is. Are the leaves broad? Are they nice? Are they looking okay? So if you see that particular variety, you now say, "Okay, this is what I want to buy." If you don't know at all, there are trusted gardeners around that you can say, "Okay, please, I want this." You can check online, or you can reach out to us to have access to some of these good seeds. When you reach out to other farmers that you trust, that they can tell you, okay, this is the kind of seed it is, this is the kind of seed. Instead of just going to the open market and get from reputable dealers. And then also for seeds like lettuce, for seeds like the spinach, there are companies that sell them, so you can visit the gardener's shop and then just pick a good seed. You can read through what is there, make sure it's not expired, make sure maybe it's resistant to so and so diseases. Getting quality seed goes a long way to helping you get good results. So continue with the steps in growing vegetables. The next thing you are going to do is, after you have known the place, you are going to identify an area where you want to grow your vegetables, and you have sourced your seeds from a reputable dealer or a neighbor who has grown a particular vegetable that you like before, and then you feel like, oh, this is the particular one I want to grow, then you can get from that person. Example is water leaf. There are different types of water leaf. There's the bigger, broader leaf water leaf. The broader leaf ones those ones contain more water. So by the time you are putting it in your soup, you know that you have to add less water. And then there are other ones that have very tiny leaves. Those ones are more they don't contain so much water. So when you're using it in your soup, you don't need to worry about the soup becoming watery. So there are different varieties. So if you go around maybe your neighborhood or somebody that grows or have a garden around you, you look at the various types. You can ask the person, so the person can tell you, okay, this is the type, this is the type, this is the one you can use. With that, you'll be able to know which of the crops to use. And then when it comes to raising nursery, there are different ways of raising nursery. If you look at the first image at the top right, you are going to see seedling trays and people sowing seeds there. You see seedling trays. These are very good for seeds that are tiny, like the spinach, the water leaf, the amaranth, and those other tiny ones that can go into this little cell. So this seedling tray we are seeing, each one of the cells contains one seed. And then the trays are usually filled up with garden soil and like cocoa peat or potting soil. If you go to a garden shop, they sell potting soil that is finely blended. It's not as heavy as sand, because if you use sand or the soil inside it will be difficult for you to remove. So if you want to use a seedling tray, you can get potting soil or you can get cocoa peat, and then you fill the seedling tray up and drop a seed, one seed into each cell or into each hole, and then you water it. After watering, you keep it in a cool, dry place. You don't want to keep it in a waterlogged area. You want to also put it on a platform where after watering excess water will drain down, because all these seedling trays they have holes under it so that excess water can always flow out. So you either, so if you are using tiny seeds that can go into the seedling trays, most of these seedling trays are at like 1 meter deep, sorry, 1 inch deep. An inch is like this first line on our finger. This is approximately 1 inch. So most of them are like 2 inch or to 3 inches deep. So you put your soil, and for tiny seeds like the spinach or the spinach or the other seeds like amaranth, you just bury them like half an inch or even quarter of an inch. After filling up the seedling tray with your potting soil, you now make a little dent on top of it and then place your seed. After placing your seed like quarter of an inch, you cover up the soil, put in a cool place that the seedling trees can drain, and then you water every time it requires water. I don't want to say water morning or evening, because if you water in the morning and you are in dry season, you may not need to water in the evening. I mean, sorry, and you are in rainy season, you may not need to water in the evening because the seedling tray will still be wet. You don't want it to be over wet so that the seeds does not get rotten. So you water it whenever you see that the seedling trays are becoming dry, or you lift it up and it is very light, or usually light, or you can even see it with your eyes that okay, this thing is dry, or you fetch out some of the soil and then you press it. You see that water is no longer coming out, then you water it. For most of these veggies, leafy greens, it takes just about 10 days to 2 weeks for the seeds to be ready for transplanting. But if you are dealing with bigger seeds like the ugu, you can see how we did our own nursery using this on the second image now, the lower one to the right. You see that we use this gardener's gardener's nylon. We filled it with sand, with soil, mix it with a bit of compost, and then we drop the seed inside. So how do you place your ugu seed inside this to grow? Some people don't really necessarily do nursery for any of their crops. They just go and plant it directly. But if you want to save seed, you want to plan properly for the space you have, I would advise you do nursery. So, for example, this is about 90 ugu seedlings. So, what we did, we have a space for about 80 that we want to plant. We have already identified the area we wanted to grow it, and we said that okay, it can take about 80. But we're able to get 90 seeds so that in case some do not germinate, instead of planting only 80, we did 90, so that if we have maybe as we are trying to plant one row or some did not germinate, you still have enough to cover it. So how do you plant your ugu? You plant the seed. When you see the ugu seed, usually it has a pointed part. That pointed part is the one you place downwards. You place it down so that the roots can form from there. So when you look at your ugu seed, you are going to see that it has a pointer. So that pointer is the one that you plant deep in the soil. You can plant it 1 inch to 2 inch from the top of the soil, the top of this black nylon that you are seeing here. After filling it up with sand. But if you get confused that I don't know which one is a tip or the pointed place, then another way to plant it is just to lie it down. you lie the flat surface down, just like an inch or an inch and a half under the soil and cover it up. And then you keep giving me water. Remember, you have to perforate under this nylon that you are seeing so that it does not retain water, and you put it in a cool place. You can see that these ones we kept them under a tree. Under the tree, still have access to little light, but to little sunlight, but at least it's cool. It's not directly under the sun. You don't want the sun to become too hot and cook up your seed. So this is the way to raise ugu seedlings. So after about 10 days to 14 days, you start seeing them sprout. They'll start breaking and coming out. And so after that, you can leave it for like a week more. After like 3 weeks, you can now transplant it to your selected site, to the bag, to the container, or whatsoever you want to use. So one of the best practices in nursery, like I said earlier, is to use seedling trays for smaller seeds, and then to have bigger seeds like ugu, because that bigger seeds will not be able to enter the seedling tray. So you can now use your little bags like the ones we are seeing here. But sometimes, but sometimes you do not need also to use seeds. For example, that Malabar spinach, if you just get a cutting of it and plant it in the soil, is going to germinate. It's a very strong crop or vegetable, so it's going to still germinate. Or if you want to raise a nursery for it, after getting this gardener nylon bag, you can also fill it with soil. After filling it with soil, you cut, make sure that what you are cutting is at least about 5 to 10 inches and has growing points on them. You can easily then put it in the soil and leave it for like a week or two, and you see that the root will start developing. When it's strong enough, between 2 weeks to 3 weeks, you can now plant it. So somebody might ask, why do I really need a nursery? Why shouldn't I plant directly? So like I mentioned earlier, for those tiny seeds, if you do a nursery for them, you'll be able to put your eyes on it. If you are spraying the seeds, especially quality seeds that are expensive, imagine how many seeds you would have wasted. You just pack a lot of it and then you are throwing. You are throwing in the soil. Some will germinate, some will not germinate. Chicken will pick some, something else will pick some. But if you have seedling trays, you can now put one inside itself. So you are saving yourself wastage of seeds, and you actually know how many seeds you have planted, so you can know the time, the area or the quantity of bags to prepare for your nursery. Another important thing is, like this ugu, we at this point they were about 2 weeks. This particular picture, they were about 2 weeks. Now we had not even prepared the site that we are going to plant the ugu by the time we are doing this nursery. But after doing this nursery, we had enough time now to clear the area we wanted to use, and then get it ready before the ugu will reach 3 weeks that we wanted to transplant. So nursery also helps you to buy time. As you are doing your nursery, either for using nursery trays or using bags, your own might not even be bags or nursery tray. You might just want to raise the soil under a tree and then just plant them. But for your seeds not to waste, I will recommend that you use either seedling trays or this gardener's bag. Again, this ugu, you see where we are transplanting it, all we need to do is just to tear the nylon carefully. After tearing the nylon, the root and everything is still intact, and then you can make hole and put it inside. But if you plant in the soil, you are going to take out time to start removing it, and sometimes you might not be careful enough. You will hurt the root of the plant, which is already either going to make it start having disease challenges, or it's going to start becoming stress, and you will not get the best out of it. And also for the seedling trade, the benefit also is it buys you time. Like I mentioned earlier, it helps you to save seeds. And when it's time for you to transplant, all you need to do when the plants have grown to about 3 to 5 leaves, it's easy for you to just gently pull it off, especially if you are using cotton soil or cocoa peat. Or you look for an object, maybe like a stick or a nail to help remove it, and you see that the root is intact. That way, it is better for you. You are going to get better yield and better results. So yes, next slide, please. Okay, so now continuing in the steps, um, we have soil or root media preparation using organic manure. So whatever way or whichever system you choose to use, if you are going to be growing using the soil, then I will recommend that you use manure, organic matter, because it goes a long way to help you condition the soil. If you are able to find loamy soil, very effective. But in a situation whereby you don't have loamy soil around you, and maybe your soil you have is kind of clay or is kind of sandy, if you incorporate a good quantity of manure, especially manure that is cured, it is going to help you condition the soil. And if you do not want to use inorganic fertilizer like NPK and other ones, then it's going to be very, very, very important for you to put manure. So, but you make sure that the manure is cured. If you look at this our own now, you see that the color has become brownish, and you can barely distinguish which one is poultry poultry droppings or cow dung or vegetable, because we kept it for a while, and then it fermented, it broke down, and it's now powdery. So at this point, if we incorporate it to the soil, it's going to help. In the previous slide, you see where I was incorporating the manure into the soil. So we made the bed, and then after making the bed, we opened the middle of the bed, and then we now put the manure in the middle, and then still slightly mix it with the soil, water it, and then you transplant. So this manure is breaking down into nutrients for the plant as the plant is growing, and as you give it water, it just grows naturally. So it helps you to condition the soil. But in case you are not using soil at all, you want to go soilless in hydroponic system. So you also now think of which crop can do very well in the hydroponic system. Most of these crops actually do very well in hydroponic system. So hydroponic system is a system where you are not using sand, you are not using soil. You're either using something like you're using something like cocoa peat, which is made from coconut fiber, or you are using a mixture of wood shavings or sawdust mixed with compost to also grow. Either you use it in bags or you use it in containers. This also works. Or you are just using only water that is rich in nutrients. So you determine the type of hydroponic system you want to use. Hydroponics is a different topic entirely, but it is very easy to do. Whatever system you are using that you're not using the soil is actually a hydroponic system. So yes, it is very, very, very important for you to add organic manure. So if you're even producing for just house use, you may not even need to use inorganic fertilizer. This manure alone is enough. And even if you are doing commercial and you want to do it organically, you also do not need to use inorganic fertilizer if you are giving it enough of um, manure, especially because most of these veggies will be ready, like the leafy greens like water leaf or lettuce or spinach. you can start harvesting them from like 30 days and maybe to about 45 days. So this manure will help you to grow, and then at intervals, when you see that okay the manure is going down, you can always top it up. Next slide, please. So we are talking about transplanting. So you can see that the previous picture, by this time the ugu has grown. This is 3 weeks. We have prepared the soil where we are going to plant the ugu, and then we are doing us in the soil, although it's inside the greenhouse. So yeah, but if it's in the soil, it's in the soil. If it's in the bag, it's still the same way. If you are using soil, you ensure you break your soil. If it's in the bag or in a container, you make sure that your soil is loosened up. As you see this soil, you see that it's loosened up. It's not in clumps. If it's in clumps, you're not going to get best results because even your roots will be finding it difficult to find its way in the soil. So after breaking the soil, we added compost. If you look at the top, you see that it's darker. After we added compost, we now mix the top of the soil with it, and then we watered it. So you want to do your transplant in the cool of the day, either early in the morning or you want to do it in the evening. I stay in a climate that is a bit hot. I stay in Gwagwalada in FCT, and the weather is hot, especially at this time. So we prepare transplanting in the evening so that the plants will enjoy the coolness of the evening throughout the night, the early morning. By the time the sun is coming up, at least it would have rested a bit to have the energy to withstand the heat of the day. So make sure you transplant during the cool of the day, and before you plant, immediately after before you transplant, make sure you water your crops no matter where you have done your nursery. Either it's in the soil or in a gardener's bag or in seedling trays. Watering it helps to like give it like it's as if you are giving it an anti-stress. So it goes a long way to help it. It goes a long way to help the production. Also, some plants like water leaf and spinach cuttings can be transplanted as well. It's still the same process. After you prepare your soil, you now cut the the seedlings or the cuttings from like spinach or your water leaf, and then you also plant in the soil. And for leaves like water leaf, if you want to keep it for a longer time, you ensure that as the flowers are coming out, those tiny pink flowers, you begin to cut off the flowers. The more you are cutting the flowers, the more it's growing. If you allow the flowers to keep growing, it will signal it to like reduce the vegetative production. So you want to be cutting it off at intervals so that you also have healthy plants. Next slide, please. Um, okay. So continuing the steps in growing veggies at our backyard, we have our daily management routine. So water often as often as needed. As you can see, this is another place, another area that we plant our lettuce. You water again before transplant, and also you after planting you also ensure you water. So we have irrigation system, but if you don't have irrigation system, these are simple watering cans here as you can see that you can easily use to um, water your plants. So water as often as needed, like I said earlier, I cannot say water 2 times or 3 times or 4 times in a day because in your environment it might be raining. If you're in rainy season, you know you don't even need to bother yourself to water. Rather, you even be thinking of how to make sure the soil is not too wet for your plants. So as you are looking at your plants, if you see that oh this plant needs water like in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, you give it. But I will advise that you don't water in the course of the day because you risk the chance of burning your vegetable. So the best times to water would be early in the morning or late in the evening. If you give it water as early as 7 o'clock to like 9 o'clock, depending on how your weather is, even like 7 o'clock is the best because the soil is still full, the plant is still standing. You give it enough water so that during the sun daytime, it will be able to stand and withstand the stress. And then you look at it. If you give it in the morning and maybe the sun was not too much or evaporation is not too much in the evening, you see that the soil is still wet. There is no need for you to give. But if you see that the soil is wet, then in the evening at around about 4 to 5, depending on how hot your climate is, then you can water it again. Then weeding in time is very important. You don't want weed to compete with your crops, because if the weeds start to compete with it, then before you know, you start having issues. So you want to weed in time, especially if you are doing your backyard gardening. If you are removing your weed in time, then the plants will grow well. So when it comes to fertilizer application, we already talked about the inorganic fertilizer. If you are growing commercially and in large quantities, and you are not able to follow up with the organic fertilizer, it's okay for you to use inorganic fertilizer. But if you see that, oh, you want to do organic and you want to be using either plant-based organic matter, like maybe the vegetables that you harvest and they are not so good, and you want to incorporate it back into the soil, it's fine. Or you want to be using animal based um, manure, like the cured poultry droppings or cow dung, or rabbit droppings, you can also be incorporating it in the soil. And for pesticide application, I will encourage that you get neem oil. So neem oil is made from the guayaro seed. It's one of the best ways of treating your home garden, especially if you are eating or you want to even sell in small quantity or even in a large quantity. You mix just about 3 drops of it in a liter of water, or let's say depending on the for a liter of water you can do a few drops or even about um, 4 to 5 ml if the infestation is too much in 1 liter of water, and then you add like 2 drops of dish soap, like maybe morning fresh or whichever one you have. You shake it very well and you spray it on the leaf. It kills all manner of insects. It's very effective insecticide. So people still use neem leaves. They just get neem leaves. They pour hot water on top of the neem leaves and then cover it for a period of 3 to 1 month. And then when the water comes out, it's already concentrated. You can use about 10 ml of it and mix it with 1 liter of water and then spray it on your crop. Those are other ways of keeping your plants healthy without using inorganic pesticides. But if you must use inorganic pesticides, then you should also use and follow, be careful enough to follow the label, whatever the label has written, follow the dosage that is there, and please follow the pre-harvest interval. So on almost every chemical or pesticide bottle, they write a pre-harvest interval. The pre-harvest interval sometimes will tell you do not harvest until after 5 days, after 14 days, after so and so days. If you follow those pre-harvest intervals, it is very, very, very important. That is one of the major problems we have in consuming food that is heavy on chemicals that result to all manner of diseases. So please, as you are buying any chemical, ensure that you read the label very well and follow the label. Don't say, oh, because you want to harvest and give the take to the market, or market is next tomorrow, so you must apply and harvest the following day. You just want the physical insect to die, and then you don't care what is happening, the chemistry that is happening in the leaf, provided it looks okay. You are taking it to the market. You are hurting the people. You are hurting the people eating your food. You are hurting your customers. So please allow, or even hurting your own self, please allow the number of days written to pass. So that is why if you are doing vegetables that you harvest every now and then, you have to look for chemicals that have short pre-harvest interval. Very important. So I think if we have questions, we can now take it up from here. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah,
Can you
we're
hear
back.
me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Lady Gladys. The session was so insightful. Uh, thank you so much. She mentioned cocoa peats. So we are partnering with um, Farm Square NG as well as Coconuto. Farm Square NG, they're able to provide like seedlings. And so if you're interested in that, please drop a message on the community and I would make that referral happen for you. You're able to get a level of percentage discount if you're wanting to get seeds from Farm Square NG, then as well as Coconuto, they would be able to provide cocoa peats. So if you're also interested in that, because of the partnership that we have with them, you're able to get that at discounted rates. So, ladies, Gladys, thank you so much for that. We have a question here. I am going to read it out. Uh, so the question was, how is it possible to plant using cocoa peats or wood shavings and not loaming soil? Well, no, I think the person is just wondering, like, cocoa peats. Is cocoa peats, does it have nutrients? Why exactly can we plant with cocoa peats? So, Lady Gladys, can you share more insights on that? Okay. Lady Gladys, the question is on the screen.
Can you
Can
hear
you?
me? Sorry, I lost you for a second.
Oh, okay. So the question is on the screen. This is the question.
Okay. How is it possible to plant using cocoa peats or wood shavings and not using the loamy soil? Okay, so it is very possible with a system called hydroponics. So hydroponics is a system where you grow crops without using soil. It is a soilless way of growing crops. So you can either use the wood shavings, the cocoa peats, the just water that has nutrients in it. So it is very possible if you are going to use wood shavings, for example, or cocoa peat. Actually, it does not have nutrients. So you are going to now use the potting soil or the poultry droppings that I mentioned earlier. You can use that, and there are also liquid nutrients that are specifically formulated for hydroponic purposes. So you can also use that. But if you are using, let's say, wood shavings, and then you add a good number of manure to it, and you give it water, your plant will actually grow. But if you are going into a more complicated system, then you need hydroponics liquid or fertilizer to use. It is measured, and there are EC meters that is used. It's a little bit complicated. So maybe we are going to have an entire podcast for hydroponics alone where we discuss more about it. So, but yeah, it is very possible. You can also read about
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So that was like the only question that we got. I'm believing that the person is they are new to that particular process. So that's why they
it.
probably asked that question. But that was like the only question that we got onto this training session. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Fantastic. So guys, like as I mentioned earlier, if you're interested in getting the cocoa peats, we partnered with Coconuto. They sell cocoa peats that can be used for urban farming. And so because of our partnership, you're able to get it at a highly discounted rate. As well as the seedlings, you're also able to get it through our partnership with Square NG at a discounted rate. So if you're interested in doing that, please leave a message on the group, and that will be made possible for you. But all the same, thank you so much, guys, for spending this time with us today. We've been here for over 50 minutes, and I want to believe that every single person has learned a lot from today's session. And please don't just be the hearer of these things, practice it. I like how she broke it down step by step from the land preparation down to the preparation of your nursery, and then to transplanting, and then to harvesting, and also pest management. So you have the entire full package here that has been shared with you this week one. So guys, do implement and also share your progress with us on the group. Take pictures and share your progress with us. And also, as you practice, if you have any questions subsequently, we will be able to collate the question and share with Lady Gladys, and she will be able to also sort of provide answers for us, and the answers will be shared on the group. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today on this week one of the Operation Feed the Nation Challenge. Next week, we would be having another lecture, and that lecture will be done by Frontier Farms Limited, and they'll be teaching more about how to grow fruity vegetables. So, guys, stay glued to this and stay uh, practicing, and we hope that you are able to grow your own food. Challenge. So, guys, thank you so much for your time. See you. So, guys, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for spending this time with us today. We look forward to having you and hosting you next week. And so, also feel free to share this session with your friends, your family, your loved one, any person that you want them to participate in the Operation Feed the Nation Challenge, urban and backyard farming. Please share the link with them. Share this video with them and invite them for next week's training as well. All right, guys. See you on the next week's training. Bye for now.